Welcome back to another episode of On the Subject. I'm your host, Michael Vilardo, co-founder and CEO of subject.com. You know where to find us. We have an incredibly special guest today. We're traveling around the country to find the most innovative leaders in education. Today, we have a travel guest. It's not based in California, but one of the most legendary superintendents across the country, worked in Monroe, Orange County, and now most recently Clark County Superintendent the last 6 years. Dr. Jara, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank
Yeah,
you
really
for having
excited.
me.
We
It's
love
excited to be here.
Yeah, love being able to share your story. And why education? Why did you want to help kids?
Oh boy, I ask myself that question so often, and it was really education when I came to this country when I was 10 from Venezuela, and I still remember my teachers. I remember Miss Kilbride, my fourth grade teacher, so caring, so really pathetic. A woman that really, at that time, I was so afraid of coming to America,
Yep.
right? My parents come here and bring us, and not where I wanted to be, but my parents didn't ask me.
Yeah,
Just like
you don't
so
have
many,
you don't have a
no,
choice.
just like so many of our kids, and she made an impact. And I had so many teachers along the way. I had a coach, Coach Larish,
Yeah, what sport?
football.
Nice.
Played football. My
Yeah,
size,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
It was
yeah.
like I was a soccer player until I got to high school, but that's another
Yeah,
podcast,
yeah.
right? And so just had so many people that were along the way helping me. And when I was coaching and being a trainer and a teacher, I taught science, bilingual science teacher. I started in Miami-Dade and then just kind of went up the ranks. And as a superintendent in urban America, I found myself seeing so many of the kids that had my story. And it was really something that I felt like I needed to get back to our society. And children come to us from so many different walks of life. I had a passion to really be the one to say, what we are going to prove to America that poor children can learn at high levels. And it's the adults that have to be that servant leader to really be caring and empathetic to meet kids where they are and get them to achieve. And we did that by putting the right team together. And that's kind of my story, but it
No,
came
I
to
love your story. No, thank you for all that you've done for students. We always love to express gratitude. And I think we always share that sentiment that teachers and coaches are the heroes of society. And you both lived it as a student, you lived it as a teacher, and now you've lived it as a superintendent. When you were able to go all across the country, you did so many different states, which is really
Yeah.
impactful. So you could see how different states work. How are you able to elevate yourself into such incredible roles where you can impact more students?
So I guess luck, luck.
You earn your luck. Yeah,
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 no,
yeah,
you,
yeah.
you do, but follow the right leaders, and really, something that my parents, my mom is one that just really stayed working hard and be passionate, and never turned down an opportunity. I was in college and doing my master's, and I said to Dr. Burke,
Yeah.
and I said, hey, he was a finalist for the job in Springfield, and I was an assistant principal, and I said, if you get the job, I'll go with you. Never think. Then he calls me and says, "Hey, I got the job.
You're coming
Would you
with.
come?" And I went. Did some great work in Springfield, Massachusetts. So
Oh, so
imagine,
I didn't even know about this
yeah,
part of your story.
imagine leaving Miami
Yep, that's
to
a
go
big
to
jump.
Massachusetts.
Yes.
That's and selling that to your home, right? And my wife then is like, but it was a just opportunity, and they went back to Florida, which is where we wanted to be at that time. So, but it was really something about and when I was a superintendent, I used to tell principals all the time. I said, look, don't go out, because so many of young people and young teachers, young principals, they're always looking for the next job, always looking. And I used to always say, because it's what I learned, right? So it's let your results speak for themselves and they will tap you. Your results, your data is the real impact that you're having is what's going to move you to the next phase. And I guess that's what happened for me. And I never said no.
Yeah, be so good they can't deny you. It's
Yeah.
when you have that ability to be able to command respect with your actions more than your words, you're able to be put in positions where you can drive a lot of leverage and impact. And so that's
Yeah.
super impressive on your end. What was the biggest thing, in your opinion, that has changed over your 30 plus years in education?
People will say, well, kids have changed. And that's not true. Kids are the same. So as when I was when I first
Yeah.
teaching, I remember saying to Mr. Vanderbeek, we were coaching together. He was my teacher. I'd complain. I said, Coach, these kids. And he said, you were just like them 10 years ago.
Yep.
So it's not these kids, right? The kids haven't changed. I think the access to technology, the access to information, that has really changed and has given kids more tools, more resources. I think that is something that is one of the things that has pushed school systems to individualize for children and given tools. Some have really, I would say, endorsed it and really supported it. Others have not. And unfortunately, some of the adults are the biggest barriers, right? As a principal, I was always afraid, right? Teachers were afraid because kids are born. Our children are digital natives. We
They
say that
are. They have
often.
an iPhone in their hand, supercomputer.
Right. They have an iPad. They're learning. And the other day, now that I'm on this side of the world, I'm learning how to do things because when you're a superintendent, you got a lot of support.
Yeah.
And I call my daughter, who's 23. I said, "How do you put all these different receipts together?" She goes, "Dad, here." In 3 clicks, she gives me a combined PDF, and I'm going, think about all of these, right? I mean, those things, it's what's happening in classrooms, and we're expecting for kids to learn how to read and be engaged by standing up in front of a chalkboard. Not going to engage kids.
Yeah, I
that
do
way.
not like chalkboards.
No, I don't think kids
No,
do.
they don't. It's all about content and media, so we're really leaning into that here. Where do you want to see education 10 years from now? What would your dream?
Well, I think one of the things that when you think about public education, you think about education, period. Obviously, it's more than just test scores.
Yes.
It's more than just, yeah, that's important. Kids need to be able to read and think at high level. But how are we individualizing education for children? All kids. I used to always say to my team all the time, all means all, not just those who are coming here. That I used to say that are school proof,
Yeah.
that are teacher proof, right? All means all, the kids. So how do we meet kids where they are and advance them to where they need to be up and get there? Some kids need more than others. So to me, where you walk into a school, the zip code doesn't determine your success. It's an opportunity where, why do we have to say it in schools that 180 days determines your success, right? No, kids don't need algebra. If you can learn algebra 1 in 90 days, that's what you get. But if it takes you longer, so how do we individualize education to meet the individual needs of kids? And also and you're seeing that in pockets. You're seeing that already across this country in pockets where kids are learning at their own pace, where they don't have to come to school. We did some pilots in Clark County where kids would come to school Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Wednesday became office hours. Why do we have to do it 5 days a week? So to me,
I agree. It shouldn't have to be just because something's always been done that way. Challenge the status quo.
Yeah, absolutely. Disrupt the learning and meet kids where they are. And I think the adults need to be the resource for kids.
I completely agree. And I love your passion for innovation. You've already done this a little bit on the podcast, but the way that we really like to be able to wrap any pod is a moment of gratitude and thanking one of your teachers or students who impacted you. You've given a ton of great shout outs already, so I don't want to overburden you, but is there anything else you'd love to do in terms of thanking either a student or teacher that impacted who you've become today?
So I think I told you my teachers, there's kids that came that I still remember. And there was one kid, and this is very personal. There was a time when I was superintendent, you can read it, I was fired, rehired, right? So by the same board, that's a different podcast. But
Board management.
Board management, that is a different podcast. And this kid, I don't even know him, and he didn't know me. But on that Sunday, I was going back to work. I'd just been terminated, but it had 30 days. So I'm walking in the neighborhood. I couldn't. What do I say to my team, right?
Yeah.
What do I say to the team to keep the passion going and the move? And I'm walking in the neighborhood just to kind of get some air. And I see this kid, and the times are so appropriate. So I see a kid walking in the neighborhood, putting his parents' business cards in the homes for a cleaning service. I used to do that for my mom when I was a kid. Right? When my dad left and my mom, we were undocumented. That's a different podcast. But I was doing that. And I said, you know what? You got to chin up because that kid needs a superintendent. That's what he wants. And to me, that kid, I thank him because he gave me the energy to go back in the last 2 years of my tenure in Clark County to continue the work. So it's what drives me. I was always student-centered, and maybe sometimes that doesn't work for the adults.
It's all about the learner, and that's what we're here for. And you're so inspiring. I love your words, and everyone out there, we should fight for that kid. And remember how lucky you are and the chance to be able to breathe that next breath of air and be able to impact more people. That was really special, Dr. Jar. And thank you so much for spending time with us. Find us on YouTube, Spotify. Click below, like, subscribe, and hear incredible stories like this. Thank you so much for an incredible day. This is so
Thank you.
fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.